News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television, with hosts Bryce West and Ian Lloyd. This is The Film Reel. Hello and welcome into The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television. I'm Bryce West.
And I'm Ian Lloyd.
We've got an action-packed episode for you all today. This is going to be all Spider-Man. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse comes out today. We've got a review for that coming up. But first, let's take a look at the box office report for this week.
Coming in at number 5 is The Machine, starring Burt Kreischer and Mark Hamill. Burt's drunken past catches with him 20 years down the road when he and his father are kidnapped by those burnt wrong 20 years ago while drunk on a college semester abroad in Russia. The film opened with $6 million. For The Film Reel, I'm Mallory Burton.
Coming in at number 4, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, starring Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy. The film follows the story of the Super Mario Bros. On their journey through the Mushroom Kingdom. The film brought in $8.3 million, dropping 13.5% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Drew Pounton.
Coming in at number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, starring Chris Pratt, Chakotay Awuji, and Bradley Cooper. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own, a mission that could mean the end of the Guardians if not successful. The film brought in $26.1 million, dropping 19.4% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Ian Klingler.
Coming in at number 2 is Fast X, starring Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez. The film follows Dom Toretto and his family, who are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Hernan Reyes. The film brought in $28.6 million, dropping 57.3% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Quentin Watt.
Coming in at number 1 is The Little Mermaid, starring Hailey Bailey, Jonah Howard-King, and Melissa McCarthy. A young mermaid makes a deal with the sea witch to trade her beautiful voice for human legs so she can discover the world above water and impress a prince. The film opened with $117.5 million. For The Film Reel, I'm Tegan Rule.
Well. Perfect score for me
Yep.
from last week's box office showdown. So I correctly predicted that Little Mermaid would be number 1. Number 2 would be Fast X. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 4, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And number 5, The Machine. Ian was not so lucky. So he has to give a good review, since this is Spider-Man themed. He has to give a good review of Morbius.
Morbius came out last year. Well, here goes.
One of the worst comic book movies ever.
I disagree. This is a great movie.
Well, okay, that's right. He has to give a positive review of Morbius.
Morbius has a great title sequence, and Sony still uses the Marvel fanfare, which I love. I love the original Marvel fanfare with the comics. I don't like the new stuff with the live-action characters, like just in that montage. Don't like it. The old fanfare rules, and Morbius still has it, so that's a plus going for it. I also wanted to highlight that this movie has a very subtle nod to the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's like, it's there, but like, if you blink, you'll miss it. Also, it's just a riveting story about dealing with addiction and bad influences. Mm-hmm. And I think that really comes out into display about this movie. And I did want to point out real fast some of the comic influences here. The blurry and messy CGI actually harkens back to the mid-2000s oil painting style of comics, which I found was really interesting. And the setting of where Morbius gets his powers on a boat, and he kills all these mercenaries and then dives off, that's a clear reference to the first appearance of this character in Spider-Man issue number 101.
Wow.
Where he dives off of it. Yeah, it's really great. And then this is a great movie for kids because even though it's about a vicious vampire, there's no blood or guts in it. And it's very non-violent in that way.
It's very non-violent?
And I also wanted to commend the fact that it's incredibly impressive for this film to have so many tries and so many jokes to be funny, and all of them fall flat. I feel like that's really impressive, and I can't commend them more for the effort they put into that.
And the effort in their bad jokes?
Yeah,
that's your positive spin on that?
It can't be a coincidence that all of them fall flat. And finally, I wanted to end this off with that Ultimately, I think this film is a just abstract art piece, and it works as a metaphor for the disappointment we feel in blockbuster filmmaking. And it begs you not to pay attention.
That's interesting. Okay.
And the moment you start paying attention, it just leaves you with no payoff and just endless disappointment about the film.
Wow, what a positive take on the worst Spider-Man film, Morbius. So with that being said, we're going to take a look at, we're going to give our guesses for next week's box office showdown. So I'm going to start off with mine. So number one, this is going to be I think this will actually be kind of close, but I do have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at number one. And then number two, I have The Little Mermaid. Since the Disney remakes are such good money makers for Disney, I do think that it'll actually be pretty close. But I do have The Little Mermaid at number two. Number three, I have Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast X. I do think that it has seen a massive drop since last week. It only made around 29 million from Memorial Day weekend, so an extra day was added on compared to like the over 60 million that it made in its first weekend. So not great. But number four, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And then finally, I have Super Mario Bros. Actually leaving the top five. And then I have a horror movie, The Boogeyman, coming in at number five.
Mostly the same as you. Across the Spider-Verse is my number one. I think it's undeniable that this film is going to be the best in the box office this weekend. And second is going to be Little Mermaid. And then I'm sticking with my prediction from last week. I think Guardians is going to swap with Fast X. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, then Fast X, and then right along with you, The Boogeyman at number five.
Okay, and the punishment for the loser for this week is that unfortunately somebody is going to have to watch Transformers: The Last Night, which is the worst Transformers film in the franchise, widely regarded, and then they're going to have to turn around and they'll have to watch it again. So this is going to be pretty rough. Ian is actually not going to be here next week, so but we'll still figure out a way. If he is the loser, we'll still figure out a way to get that punishment in for you all.
We'll make sure the loser gets what they deserve.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that one's going to be quite the doozy. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then after this, we have our review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Stay tuned.
News Channel 15, winner of the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Award for the nation's best community college TV station.
I am Jordan Crow. I'm a registered nurse and director of case management here at Wabash General Hospital. I started my journey with Wabash General Hospital in 2011 and a part of the Health Occupations program. After that experience, I decided I did want to pursue nursing. What matters the most to me about working at Wabash General Hospital is the flexibility that it allows for me to live and work close to home. It allows more time with my family and also allows me the opportunity to serve the community that I grew up in.
Come see the Tri-State's largest display of high-quality, affordable furniture and home decor at Timberlake Furniture. With a warehouse spanning more than 8 football fields in length, you'll find what you're looking for and can take it home with you the same day. Shop the latest styles from the name brands you know and trust, all at the lowest prices anywhere. Check out our huge selection of top-quality mattresses from Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and Stearns & Foster. And shop our closeout mattress sale going on now. Timberlake Furniture, so your house feels like home.
Welcome back into the film reel. Today we have our review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, widely regarded as one of the best comic book movies of all time, if not one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. I don't even know where to begin. This film, it does it again. Yeah, somehow it does it again. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I considered a perfect film. And this film somehow managed to be even better than that in my eyes. It's wow, just absolutely unbelievable. Ian, I'll let you start off with your thoughts.
Well, I think this film is just as striking as the first one. It has all the same like crew members and like animators, and they took something that like they got away with making this amazing movie, this masterpiece, and then they were allowed to just do whatever they wanted for the sequel, and they just went like a notch above that. And it's visually exciting even more than the first film, which I thought would be just not possible.
It seemed like an impossible task.
The phenomenal score by Daniel Pemberton is even better this time, which is crazy. I think this movie is long. It's overstuffed with so many characters, even more than the original, which already felt like too many Spider-Men. But now we have like just a world.
Hundreds, yeah.
I would say thousands of Spider-Men. So many in the background, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else for those 140 minutes.
Yeah.
This thing is just packed with so much stuff, but it keeps it going in a way that feels grounded and compelling to the audience, and it never loses what's special about these stories.
Right. I mean, I think what they were able to do with all of the spider people was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I saw the trailer for this film, and I saw like how many spider people were getting involved, and I was like, this could be a problem, and it very well could have, because you introduce that many characters, and a lot of times it lacks focus. I'm gonna have a hot take about Avengers: Infinity War. I feel like that's a film that has way too many characters, way too many storylines going on, and I think it suffers for that. This film does not. It has all of these characters, but it's able to have a very distinct, grounded focus. It doesn't focus on too many characters. Now, there are a lot of characters, but a lot of the times they're sort of like cameos or just short appearances, like just stuff that is good enough for Spider-Man fans to get what they want from the characters, but not enough to where it's taken away from our main characters, which are Miles and Gwen. And oh my gosh, what they were able to do with Miles and Gwen throughout this film was amazing. They almost felt like dual leads in a sense, to where like Miles was as equal to a character as Gwen, and vice versa. Without getting into spoilers, of course, the relationship between the two in this film is developed quite a bit, and it is developed quite well. I thought the whole relationship between the two of them was very intriguing. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that we got from Gwen, I just absolutely loved. Yeah. And Spider-Gwen is one of my favorite comic book characters, so that might be part of it. But I mean, in the first film, Gwen was definitely a supporting character, and in this one, she is not.
We get a whole backstory with her, and her world. For new fans, it looks great, but like, for us who've read the Spider-Gwen comics, it looks exactly out of those comics. This like watercolor backgrounds and like just vibrant neon like colors. It's perfect, and they adapted those so well into this new medium. Yeah,
I was absolutely blown away. There's a lot of emotional scenes in Gwen's world, and whenever we see that, of course, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but they do a lot of the stuff, a lot of amazing stuff with the animation, where like the background starts like kind of like dripping with the watercolor, and like it shows like the emotion, like the somber and the sadness, just through the background. Like, we don't even have to see it through the characters' faces, because we see it through the background itself. I mean, this is probably the greatest animation I've seen in a film. Period. End of sentence. Done. Like,
it's a new like blockbuster animated film from a huge company that actually uses the medium animation to like tell a story through the visuals and through like the incredible animation at play here, and I just think that's incredible, and I don't think enough studios are doing that these days.
Yeah. Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, all the Spider-Verse movies are definitely examples of what I think animation studios should be doing. It is absolutely unbelievable, but I mean, we can talk about the great animation, but there are also some live action sequences that are really, really fun. I'm not going to say what any of them are, but there are some live action sequences thrown in there, and I think if you're a fan of Spider-Man, you know some of the behind the scenes stuff. I think one of them in particular is going to be a lot of fun for fans. But I think, I don't know, is this in contention for the best Spider-Man movie ever?
It's in my top 3, and if the sequel to this, since this is a part 1 to a 2-part conclusion, I would say.
Yeah,
to
maybe.
This story,
Conclusion. Yeah, or at least to
we'll
this
see.
part of the story. Yeah.
This is a part 1 to a part 2, and if that part 2 nails the ending, then this will be one of the best Spider-Man stories of all time.
Yes.
In whatever medium you want to choose.
I think Beyond the Spider-Verse, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they did it with this one. But I think Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to have a lot to live up to. Typically, I don't like part 1, part 2 films. Especially the part 1 films. Usually it just lacks a lot of the action and the stories really slow down. And don't get me wrong, this is a very long movie. It clocks in at around 2.5 hours. It's one of the longest theatrically released animated films, I believe. But it uses its time wisely. It doesn't lack action. Everything was well done. I absolutely loved it. I think it definitely could be up with the upper echelons of the best Spider-Man movies, but not only that, one of the best comic book movies, one of the best superhero movies, and one of the best animated movies. Is absolutely unbelievable. We haven't talked about this yet. Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He served as a great sort of antagonist. It really because you want to root for him. But also, he's kind of pitted up against Miles, and so it's interesting to see their sort of dynamic. He really brings this broodiness from the original character, and I think it's great. It's this intense, just atmosphere that the character lives in, and I think it's perfect. I think he plays it extremely well. Well, he's going to be returning in Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse along with a bunch of the other Spider people that you will be seeing in this film. I cannot wait to see how they wrap up this story. I cannot wait to see what else they do within this world. We know that there's a female-centered Spider-Verse spinoff in development, and so there could be plenty of other films that they do in this world. We know that there's a live-action Miles Morales movie in development. We don't know if that's going to take place in the MCU or in maybe the Venom universe or if it's going to be its own thing. But there's definitely a lot of content coming out for Spider-Man fans of Miles Morales. If you're in any way interested in animation, if you're in any way interested in Spider-Man or superheroes, don't walk, run to the theater to go see this movie.
It brought me back to that old self of mine that used to read comics way too late at night, and it just made me giddy with delight. And I think even if you don't like animated movies, you owe it to yourself to go out and watch this movie. It's great. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then after this, Kane Jones is going to talk about what he would like to see from some of the other Spider-Men that we've seen in films after this.
For over a century, the First National Bank has been here, serving our local communities. We're proud to still be locally owned and managed, with friendly customer service from people that you know and trust. We're here to support our neighbors, investing in our communities. We're proud to provide the latest in digital banking technology, serving as your complete financial partner. Visit us online at fnba.bank or stop by one of our convenient locations in Allendale, Mount Carmel, Carmine, or West Salem today. The First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We're your friends, your neighbors, and we support our community. For over 100 years, we've been here, leading the way in community service and innovation. We our Mount Carmel Public Utility Company.
College doesn't have to start at an expensive school far away. You can save money and be close to home at Wabash Valley College. Many careers only require a 2-year degree or certificate. Or get your general education classes out of the way and transfer to a 4-year school. Wabash Valley College has programs in high-demand careers such as physical therapy assistant, advanced manufacturing, marketing, business management, nursing, and radio television. To find out more about Wabash Valley College, go to iecc.edu/WVC.
Now, more of the Film Reel with Kane Jones.
With great power comes great responsibility. That is the quote from the 2002 live-action Spider-Man film starring Tobey Maguire. It is the advice that Uncle Ben gave Peter Parker in a time of need, and man, oh man, that is a quote. And that kicks off this segment in which we are talking about Spider-Man. All things Spider-Man. He's one of my favorite heroes, one of my favorite comic book characters, and to see him come to life over the years and the many different forms and all these films. There was even a television series, Nicholas Hammond, but I actually want to focus on the actors that portrayed Spider-Man, Peter Parker, in films, in theatrical films. And the first one that played your friendly neighborhood hero, the one that currently plays him is Tom Holland. Now, Tom Holland has done 3 solo films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's done a great job. And I think, especially with the last one, my personal favorite, No Way Home, bringing back the other actors that played him in that one. It was so successful. Even bringing back the villains, the OG villains from previous Spider-Man films. I thought it was great. And as to what his fate is, I mean, given the ending and the events of No Way Home, I mean, it is unclear what his fate is. I had heard that Tom Holland, the actor, that he might have signed on to play more, to, you know, extend his contract or whatnot. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would like to see it. I do like him. He is not my favorite, though. But moving on to the next Spider-Man that played him before, which is Andrew Garfield. He was also pretty good. Again, not my favorite, but he did 2 Spider-Man films, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And, you know, I think if they were to go in a direction with him and Tom Holland, it would kind of have to be something, in Andrew Garfield's case, he, given the events of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe he, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but grieves over, you know, Gwen Stacy dying or something like that. And that's where, like, part of the plot line lies there. Tom Holland, again, I can't really say much on that. I don't know his fate. But, you know, maybe on that front, he comes in contact with some of the other heroes that we have left in the MCU currently, and that could be where they go with that. And the last actor, which is my personal favorite that portrayed him. Originally, he was the first actor to portray Peter Parker, Spider-Man, in a theatrical film. Tobey Maguire. He's my favorite. He's the OG. He just embodies what Peter Parker is as a person. A pizza delivery guy on a scooter, kind of nerdy, and just embodies them to the T. And he did 3 solo films with Sam Raimi as the director. Phenomenal OG cast. All the actors were phenomenal in them. And the whole performance in all 3 of those from top to bottom was just perfect in my opinion. And there were rumors, I've heard rumors that he was going to maybe team up with Sam Raimi to do a 4th one. And I was thinking of what the plot line could be. Maybe he, you'd have to obviously bring back the whole cast, get the whole OG cast. And, you know, just maybe there's a new villain and he has to team up with Harry again and, you know, and just take down a new villain. I don't know, but that's where I think they could maybe go with that. But those are the actors that have played Spider-Man, and those are my thoughts on that. Now, recently, the most recent film is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's the second one, and I loved the first. I thought it was very good with the effects and graphics. The plotline, the storyline was incredible too, as well. And this one looks to be even better. The effects and graphics look to be even more spectacular. So I'm looking forward to that. It's out now, and I'm definitely going to see it. So with all that being said, that's the wrap up on Spider-Man.
From News Channel 15.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Monday night. I'm Kyle Peach reporting.
Right now I'm here at the Riverview Stadium, otherwise known as the Snake Pit.
Well, that wintry precip south of 64 happened last night, and White and Hamilton.
Now the spin, now hands out Shalana Wagner, top of the key, nothing but the bottom.
Hello and welcome to the Not So Late Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Cubed.
That does it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
When life gets boring, music can make us excited. But are your playlists too boring and you desperately need new music? Well, 89.1 The Bash can help. 89.1 The Bash has your new favorite alternative pop, throwback, and rock music that'll get you moving. Can't listen on the radio? Listen to us on our website, bashradio.com, where you'll be able to meet the DJs and see who's providing you with the best music content live. Listen to 89.1 The Bash, today's hit alternative.
Do you want to be a part of Mount Carmel Aces history? Show your Golden Aces pride or get the whole gang together for a class sponsorship or memorialize a loved one by having your message displayed on a commemorative brick to be installed at Riverview Stadium Plaza. An 8x8 brick is $250 and an 8x8 corporate brick is $500. Your 8x8 brick will become a permanent part of Mount Carmel's most celebrated venue. And what better gift to give someone you love than their moment to be a part of history? Go to wabash348.com for more information. Riverview Stadium Plaza. Once an ace, always an ace.
Welcome back into the film reel. To wrap up today's show, we're going to talk about why superhero films should maybe do more animated films like Across the Spider-Verse. I think if anything Across the Spider-Verse proves is that the animation medium is a great way to tell superhero stories. I mean, for me, I mean, they've done 2 10 out of 10 Spider-Man films in the animated genre. So yeah, I think definitely it is an opportunity to tell some greater stories, because you can have a lesser budget than live action films, and then you can have 100, 1,000 spider people show up in your film. Yep. You know, I think that's one benefit to it. But also, I think we talked about in our review, you can do a lot of really creative things with the art style. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things that was talked about a lot whenever Into the Spider-Verse first came out is like how it looks like you were watching a comic book. Yeah. And this one cranks that to like 100. Mm-hmm. You know, so
it will have like little editorial notes that like pop up, just like in the old days with Stan being like, oh, that's from the last issue, right? Or this is why this, like somebody said this.
And it especially helped whenever they were introducing all those spider people. They were able to have like, okay, this is Spider-Man from this Earth, you know, and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. I think this is definitely something that they need to continue to do in the DC, in the MCU and the DC universe coming up. The DC universe is actually going a little bit into animation with Creature Commandos. It'll actually be the first show or project in general from James Gunn's new DC universe. And so I think it's really cool to see that James Gunn is not afraid to go into animation in the main DC timeline for movies, TV, video games, that kind of stuff. I think that's really cool. And I think it's really important because animation really is not a genre. It is a medium of telling stories. And I think you can tell as just as good a story in animation as you can in live action.
Yeah. I also think that like both live action comic book adaptations and animated, they both have their own pros and cons. And I think with the Spider-Verse films, we see that like they can go further with making it feel like a comic book. And while the live action MCU movies have been doing that more so with like Endgame and No Way Home, it definitely felt like they're trying too hard to make this feel like you're reading a comic book when they should just make it more isolated stories like Logan or like Spider-Man 2, where it's just good, succinct stories that feel good in a cinematic landscape.
Right. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be really interesting to see what more they do with this now that Across the Spider-Verse is probably going to be just as big a success, if not a bigger success, than Into the Spider-Verse. So I think this just means more great things for animation. I doubt that this will discourage anybody from doing more animated films, because Across the Spider-Verse is just absolutely wonderful. Again, if you have any interest in seeing it, please go see it. With that being said, we're going to wrap things up here on the Film Reel. Thank you all so much for watching. Next week, we're going to be covering Transformers: Rise of the Beast. We'll see if this one's any better than the previous ones. We'll see you again next week.